Okay, three, two, one. Okay, in this entry task, we're going to review the vocabulary words that we introduced yesterday or in the previous lesson on division. And I identified four parts of a division problem, and I gave you four vocabulary words. First being the divisor. The divisor is the number that we are dividing into the dividend. And in our example, up in the upper left-hand corner, the divisor is going to be 4 because we're dividing the 4 into the 842. The dividend is the number inside of the box that we are dividing. In this particular case, the dividend will be 842. The quotient is the answer to the division problem, including any remainders. So in this particular problem, 21 with a remainder of 2/4 would be the uh, quotient. And then finally, the remainder we identified as the number that we have left over in the case where the divisor doesn't go into the dividend an equal number of times. So um, the remainder would be 2. For today's entry task, I've given you a problem out here. We're going to say this is problem number 2, because yesterday we did number 1. Okay, so I want you to look at the problem on the right-hand side that I've identified as number 2, and I want you to identify the divisor, the dividend, the quotient, and the remainder. I'm going to give you a minute to do that, and then we're going to come back and check and see how you did. Okay, we're back now, and we're going to go over the answers, and you guys check your answers as I go over it. Okay, first of all, let's look at the divisor. The divisor is the number that we are dividing into the larger number on the outside of the box. In this particular case, our divisor is going to be 3. Okay, because there's our divisor. And our divisor is over here. We identified that. Okay, now the dividend is the number inside of the box. So the number it's inside of this box is 9,632. Okay, and now the quotient. The quotient is the answer to the division problem. In this particular case, the whole quotient is 3,210 with a remainder of 2. You'll notice that today I'm not coloring the remainder in a different color. I'm putting it in white because it's the answer to the question. We could also say that this is 3,210 with a remainder of 2/3. Now we'd get into some difficulty if we tried to show this in a decimal form because it would end up being 0.6666. Okay, and then finally our remainder down here, and that's just what we had left over at the bottom. And in this particular case, our remainder was 2, or really 2/3. Okay, and that's practice problem number 2. We're going to move on to practice problem number 3. Okay, 3, 2, 1, and 0. Here we are again. We're going to do practice problem number 3, and you're simply going to identify the divisor, the dividend, the quotient, and the remainder. And I've identified the problem that you're working with as number 3. I've shown you the answer to the problem, so this is not you having to work it out, it's just identifying the parts. So I'm going to give you 1 minute to identify these parts, and then we're going to come back. Okay, 3, 2, 1. You should have been able to identify the parts by now. This is our third problem in this practice set. So here we go. So let's look at the divisor. If we look at the divisor is the number that we are dividing into the other number. So in this particular case, our divisor is 3. So we'll put a 3 down here. The dividend, if we look up here, the dividend again is the number that we are dividing. In this particular case, it's 692. Okay, and the quotient is the answer to the question, and in this particular case, or the math problem, and the answer to our math problem is 230 with a remainder of 2, or 2/3. Okay, and then finally our remainder, we just said that was either 2 or 2/3. Okay, how many people got that correct? Good, excellent, that's perfect. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Here we are again with practice problem number 4. I'll put a 4 up here so you know. Okay, this is practice problem number 4. You can see I've done the math out here. Went through the algorithm. All you have to do is figure out what the parts are. First, what we're going to do is figure out what the divisor is. We're going to go back up here. The divisor is the number that we're dividing into the number inside of the box, which we call the dividend, excuse me. And in this particular case, the divisor is 10. The dividend is the number inside of the box that we are dividing. So in this particular case, 3,722 is our dividend. And the quotient, if we look up here, the quotient is the answer to the division problem. In this particular case, it's 372 with a remainder of 2 or 2/10, right? Because we get that 2/10 from here. It's 2 out of 10, so 2/10. And we could probably put this as a decimal too, as 0.2, right? From our understanding of decimals. Okay. All right, and then finally our remainder is going to be, our remainder is R2 or 2/10 or 0.2. Okay, how many people got that right? Excellent, great practice. And